Hey guys, welcome back to Bearded Lumber. Matthew and I appreciate you tuning in today. I was almost say we're doing something different, but we're not. We saw for a living, so we're sawing. But we're going to try to cover a topic today. I get a lot of people ask questions. How do you saw? What are you thinking? This, that, and the other. Sometimes it's simple. You're sawing a log and you want one size board. That's it. That's all you want. That's what you're shooting for. Well, in today's work, it all won't get videoed. We won't bore you with 8 hours worth of video. We are sawing 12-foot long white pine, and we got 4 different things we're trying to get. And hang on, we'll be right back and talk about how we're going to do it. Okay, welcome back, guys. Today we're sawing 12-foot white pine, and nothing unusual about that. We saw a good bit of it. What's unusual is what we're trying to achieve. We're sawing for inventory, and we're sawing for 2 different kinds of inventory. One being wall boards for exterior siding type stuff, 1x10s, 10.5, rough, maybe secondary process to planed. And then we're looking at doing 4.5, 6.5, and 8.5 inch boards to be kiln dried, and then further processed in our molder planer to 4, 6, and 8 inch V-groove, tongue and groove. So every log I'm sawing today, I'm thinking about how I can get 10s, or 10.5, because I'm oversized by 1/2 inch. And if I can't get a 10.5, I want to try to get an 8.5. Can't get an 8.5, I want to get a 6.5, and then instead of throwing anything away, we'll get a 4.5 that won't make anything else. Now, I don't know how you're set up at your place. For us, it's a little bit easier. We got a big building, it's concrete floor. I got a stack of 10.5 sitting here behind me. And over here, we hadn't started stacking them yet. Matthew's been edging them. That's all his work, edging. We got 8.5s, 6.5s, and 4.5s. And all those will work in making a 41 inch wide stack. So every log I put on the mill today, that's my main goal, is how many 10s can I get out of it? Well, if it's a little smaller, how many 8s can I get out of it, and vice versa. And every time I cut a flitch off, I'm trying to make sure that I cut, I take that first cut, the slab. When I take that first flitch, I want to make sure I can leave enough for Matthew to edge 4.5, 6.5, or 8.5. So we don't throw nothing away. Our slab pile should be very small. Now when you're sawing all 1x8s and you hog off a flitch and it won't make a 1x6, you got a choice to make. Do I keep it for myself, or I just move it on out to the burn hole? Well, today we're not throwing anything away, because you can get a lot of 4.5 inch boards out of your flitches. There's no excuse to having a whole lot of waste. Anything else on that, Matthew?
This is a day where 2 people, the edger comes in very handy.
Yes, if you don't have an edger, today's a day that you'll miss not having one. We've edged for years without having one, and we'd pile up our flitches, we'd stand them all back up there, and occasionally I would cut twice. We'd cut like 8 inches, take all the 8s out. If it didn't make 8s, we'd stand them back up there and cut 6s, and that gets very cumbersome. Now if you're doing 3 different sizes, we're technically doing 4, but if you're flitching 3 different sizes, you got to cut for 8.5, 6.5, you got to get 4.5. It can get very cumbersome. Where the edger, I'm hogging off flitches. My goal with the flitch is to make sure it will make at least the smallest board that we're shooting for,
and be less than 20 inches wide.
And it's got to be less than 20 inches wide. If we're sawing some big wood, a lot of times I'd like to take a flitch off and send it to Matthew, but I can't because it's too wide to actually go through the edger. But yeah, edger is a good time saver for what we're doing here, and having some room, because I can stack 10s here and we can stack our other 3 dimensions behind us. I don't like building stacks all mixed together. Now the 4, 6s, and 8s is not a problem because we can run them through our edger or our motor planer with a small adjustment. You know, we'll have to separate them the day we run them and have stacks of 4s and 6s and 8s, but we can run them all back to back. I don't like blending them with the 10s because it never fails. If you have a blended stack, what somebody wants is on the dead burn bottom. Always, without fail, always. So we don't do blended stacks like that if we can avoid it. If you don't have some short sawhorses, we never have really talked about our short sawhorses. They're handy to have. Gets it up off the ground, you know, starts about knee high. And time we build a stack, we're right about, you know, chest high. Because trust me, at the end of the day, you don't want to be lifting 10s. Well, a woman 10 is 12 foot long, 5 foot off the ground, do you? Remember Matthew over there going, oh Lord. So
at least the white pine, they're light.
At least the white pine, they're lighter. But if you go to moving 2x8s, 12 foot long or 16 foot long, you want your stack as low as possible. And we generally build, like these 1-inch boards, we'll build a 15 high layer. So it's 15 layers plus these stickers in between each layer. So we get done. You know, it's yay tall. It's about the right size for us. Your size may be bigger, may be smaller. Actually, that size stack our little tractor can't even pick up. We have to use a big tractor. So depending on what you're moving your lumber around, your stacks may have to be shorter. I like the width. We try to stay around a 40, 41 inch stack because that will go side by side in a dump truck, side by side on most trailers. If somebody brings a trailer that's got the wheels set in, you know, you can only get 1 stack wide. You just go 2 stacks tall. But you'll figure all that out as you run. Well, we're gonna quit yapping and we're gonna start sawing some wood. We'll pick out one good log here, and I'll try to draw it out, detail it, what I'm thinking, how we're gonna do it, and we'll go from there. Okay guys, you just seen Matthew load this nice specimen of a white pine. 20 by 20. It's round, fairly round, a little egg shape. This is the small end. Normally we put the big end this way, but it just came out that way, which is actually easier for our purposes. If I get this cut here, I know I'll be better on the other end because it gets a little bigger. So what I've laid out here is kind of a representation of what I'm thinking. We'll take our first flitch, our first waist cut here. We'll have 1 flitch, and then I'd like to get out to this point with a second flitch. Roll the log up 90 degrees, and we'll have a waist cut, flitch, and maybe a third one, depends. When I get a square corner here, I will quit because I come off that square corner, I'm shooting for 10.5 inches. So when we roll this all the way up and it's on top, I will start my waist cut, flitch with the intention of stopping at 10.5. And that will give me a 10.5 inch cant that should make 15 to 16 inch boards, 15 to 16 boards, 1 inch thick, plus 1, 2, 3, 4, probably 6 flitches or more. We'll see what it produces, but that's kind of my goal. This is a beautiful log. It'll have knots, but I don't see any big knots. It should be fairly small, insignificant knots. This will make beautiful 1x10s for siding, paneling, whatever you want to do. But all the time people ask, you know, what I'm thinking about what I'm cutting, and this is what we're doing. Now, if this log was half the size, the plan would be a little different. But being it's this size, this is my goal, is to get this good 10.5 inch cant. Another thing people ask me all the time is about sawing through the pith. Do not worry about sawing through the pith on southern yellow pine, forest pine, Virginia pine, white pine. It is not a problem. You may have a board occasionally split on the heart, but it's not every day. It's not like oak. You can guarantee if you saw the oak this way, when you got to the heart, you're gonna have some heart crack issues or heart rot, either one. But these pine logs, and as long as it's not rotten, it's not a problem. Saw right through your pith, put it out there, it's a good board. I can show you barn after barn around here that's got heartwood in it, and it's not a problem. So, anything else we're missing here, Matthew, kind of on this topic? That's what I'm thinking in my head. Now, if we open this up and there's a defect that we can't see, then of course the plans change. But when he laid this log up here within a fraction of a second, this is what I thought in my mind. And I'd already seen it out here. We cut the end of it off. It was a little long. So I'd already formulated a plan of what I was trying to get out of it based on what we need to get out of it. So that's that. Let's turn everything on, and maybe Matthew will do a ride along. You can see, and we won't be exactly on these lines, but they're just representation to go by. And we'll see what happens. Okay guys, I hope you enjoyed that time lapse. To reorient this log, this face was up top when we started, and I took 3 cuts, and we cut this face down till I got a square corner, and then I cut this face down till I got to 12.5. And the reason I flipped it back to this face and took a couple boards is it had an oblong radius down here, and if I had took 2 inches off of this side, we would have had a clipped corner. So that's why I modified what I told you I was going to do. So we did 3 cuts, 2 cuts this side. I did 3 here. I turned it over, we flattened what's essentially down the bottom. And then the last thing, I come over here and I moved this face forward 2 inches. And that gives us a true 10.5 inches. That's the width I want. And then our height is 15.5. Now, 15.5 divided by 1 inch, your extra ½ inch. I recommend when you're doing cants this size, always leave yourself a ½ inch. Now what I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna set my saw at 15.5 or maybe just 30-second low. I'm gonna run right across the top of it, and if there's any variation, I'll see it. If I need to, I'll come back and drop it 1/4 and take it off. And then I'm gonna go 1 inch down to probably somewhere about 8.5. I'll stop, flip the log over, put the clean face on the bottom, and then I'll take off the bottom, I'll take that last half to 3/8 of an inch and clear off any imperfection or turning marks. When you're using that claw, it digs into the wood. And when you're using the clamp, if you're not careful, you'll chip out some of the wood. I like to save that ½ inch in case the wood moves, it bows, or if I've damaged it. It's no big deal, throw a ½ inch away, but we're sawing quality as well as quantity. So just factor that in. If I left this at 15 inches and I got an issue, now I got to throw away a 1 inch board. Now leaving it at 15.5, I'm only throwing away a ½ inch to clear up any imperfections. Maybe I didn't get it stood up parallel. Anything can happen. So that's why we're doing it this way. Now we're going to saw through this, as well as we got 10 big flitches over there. Normally Matthew would edge those while I'm sawing, and that'd just go out the other end. But we saved them. We're going to talk about them separately, edge them separately, and we'll see how much extra yield we get out of our flitches, as well as this beautiful 10.5 by 15.5 cant. So let's get back to work. Let's leave a flat stack on top. Just stack that last board down here. We'll blow this off, sweep it off, make it look pretty, and then talk about it. Okay guys, we sawed up our big cant. We started out 10.5 by 15.5. It went perfect, couldn't ask for no better. Matthew, take the camera, get real close. For white pine in the south, you don't get any better. Here's the knot. There's a little bitty 2.5 inch knot, elongated. Sometimes you can get them as big as your fist in here. So this is perfect. The wood looks good. Couldn't ask for no better. Even got the little ostrich faces in it. Here's one that looks like a starman. Looks like an alien. And these end up looking like an ostrich face. So,
Or you get Sid from Ice Age here.
yeah. Yeah, what's the little guy from Ice Age?
Sid.
Sid. So, it's not a saw blade video, guys, but we're running a Wood-Mizer Turbo 7 55 thousandths, and I'm pushing it hard. The reason I'm pushing it hard is to keep the cut quality up and the sawdust level down. If you notice, when we swept these off, there's very little sawdust. On the time-lapse, I don't know if it's slow enough you can see it, but we were doing some 16-inch wide cuts, and I was having to really slow down to let the horsepower of the mill keep up with the blade. And it shows in your cut quality. You'll get a little speed chatter, and you'll get a lot of sawdust buildup. So that's why I don't like to do, I had a guy the other day, that's why I cut off a 8.5 inch thick cant, and it standing up there and do 2 17s at a time. And I said, there's a couple reasons. Speed, quality of cut, and sawdust. So the more narrow you can make your cut, the faster you can cut, the better quality you'll cut. Yeah, we could stack 2 of these 10.5 inch cants and make a 21 inch wide cut, but then I'm going super slow, the blade's getting hot, my cut quality's gonna suffer, so I don't do it, don't recommend it. Now, we ended up with 15 perfect boards out of that cant. There's 10 flitches over there. I know at least 5 of them will make 10.5s, and then the other 5 will get 8.5, 6.5, and 4.5. And if you look at what's on the tractor over there, there's no waste. Matthew will run over there real quick and show you. We wasted very little this log. And that's that 1/2 inch board I wasted off the can. This, now don't get upset if you end up with a lot of waste, because it happens. This log was good and round. It didn't have a banana. We saw a couple that you didn't see that were horrible. Bad. We were waiting on a good log to kind of wrap this up, and that was a good log. Very symmetrical. So when you took a 6 inch wide flitch off this end, you ended up with an 8, 10 inch wide flitch on the other end. It just, not every log's a pretty one, but this was a good one. So we're gonna shut up, we're gonna set up the edger. Like I say, Matthew normally edges these while I'm milling, but for your benefit, we're gonna edge them now, and we'll go through them real quick and wrap this up.
Okay, let me get this a little closer. Old man's way in the background there. Okay, so we got all of our flitches here that we need to run through and edge. These top 2, he was kind enough to actually put a straight edge on it, so it makes it a whole lot easier when we're running. Let me turn you around. Because the edger we have has a guard on it, and we can flip it out of the way. But if we got a square side, it makes it nice and easy. We've got my lines that I've done over time here, because we got a straight line, a 1/4 inch, and then a full 1 inch cut.
And then another 2 inch line.
And then, yeah, there's another
1.5
inch line out past that. But as we're running through them, I'm looking to see if it's got a square side to start with, and I'm gonna run those with the board, with the fence up, and if it doesn't have a square side, we'll flip the fence out and try and make it square up on the line as best as we can.
Okay, guys, trying to develop better habits wearing my safety glasses. I eat a lot of sawdust around here. It can be dangerous, so wear your safety. Okay, you just watched us run all that through the edger. Like I say, Matthew normally does all that while I'm sawing, but for your benefit, we waited till after. That log generated 21 1 by 10.5 by 12. We got 3 1 by 8.5 by 12s, 1 by 6.5 by 12, and 2 1 by 4.5 by 12s. Now, anytime you can saw with multiple items that you need off the other end will help eliminate your waste. Now, sometimes you're just sawing for 1 by 10s. You need them for a customer, they need them, that's what they want. If it's their wood, I tell them up front, you want 1 by 10s? Well, you're gonna get the waste that comes with it. What can you use? 4, 6, 8, 7, you know, whatever. Because we're not throwing that away. I'm not gonna saw a log and only go for 1 by 10s and waste everything else. Not for a customer. They're gonna get the waste that comes with it. Because if they're using 1 by 10s, they're gonna need 1 by 4s for trimming, for strapping, for, you know, whatever. If you just have to talk to them. So that being said, we're sawing these. These are my logs, Matthew's logs. We bought them, we paid for them, and we're trying to maximize the yield. We need 10s for inventory. We need 4, 6s, and 8s for molded planer. So we got it covered. There's a little bit of waste you see on a tractor, and there's a handful of flitches over there. I can hold them all at one time that come off of this. So that, y'all, and all that being said, that log yielded 262 finished board feet. That's excellent. That's a good log. You know, 4 of those and you're at a 1,000-foot day. And we've already sawed, what, 6 this morning, probably? You know, so I hope this helps, guys. You know, we struggle sometimes making videos because I want our videos to be helpful. We don't play games, we don't joke, we don't laugh, we don't go out and do stupid things. We do go some fishing. We've got a fishing video coming up. But I mean, seriously, we try to do a serious channel about helping other sawyers. I feel it's the best thing we can do is put the information out there of how we do it, why we do it. If it helps you, that's a blessing on our part to be able to help you. So if you got any questions, comments, leave them in the description below. We appreciate all the comments. Our videos are loaded up with comments. I answer every one of them truthfully. A lot of the answers will be, thank you for watching. You know, I can't write a paragraph on every one of them. I'm sorry. And as always, appreciate Matthew and Solomon doing our videos. They won't let me do the editing. That's probably a good thing. Y'all probably wouldn't appreciate what you're watching, but they do an excellent job. Remember to check out Solomon's channel, Third Beard Fishing, as well as his wife, my daughter. They have a design studio between them, 525 Designs. They'll do custom logos. They did ours. They've done several others we know. So if you need that, reach out to them. All their information will be in the description below. Thanks especially for Wood Miser. They supply an awesome blade if you know how to run it. I hear a lot of people complaining about blades. A lot of times it's on how you run it. You're overdoing it. I got a blade right here. It's got a little speed chatter. That's not Wood Miser's fault. That's mine. That was probably a 16-inch wide cut, and I had to really slow down to get the blade going through there, and you're going to end up with that. But they make a wonderful product, wonderful blade. You know, we advertise for industrial cutting tools as well as Wood Miser Resharp. They did a great job for us for many, many years, but we sharpen our own now. So that's going to do it, guys. As always, appreciate you watching, and we'll see you back at the mill.
Thank you for watching. Here's a video selection and a playlist suggestion. Click here to subscribe for more great content. We'll see you at the mill.